Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Mary here, coming at you with a quick video celebrating the fact that I feel like I have finally settled on a spread in my Hobonichi weeks, a year and a half roughly from the date when I began using them. I've settled upon a spread that I feel like I'm really comfortable with. It works with my teaching job, it works with my personal plans. Basically, the Hobonichi Weeks Mega is my everyday carry. I do want to interrupt here for a minute just to say that I'm working through my Techokaigi for June 2022, which is Japanese term for where you pull together your thoughts on your various planners. And I do have a 6-month reflection kind of change up coming up in my next video. I guess I need to start with the point that I'm a fairly messy planner, as my creative style is more from collection, kind of chaotic collections, than from a very systematic approach to things. I do have to stop every couple weeks and sort of do a tidy session, or I won't be able to function. I also have quite a mess on my hands. I had my first fountain pen accident. I had a Noodler's pen that came free with a 4-ounce bottle of ink, and I had decided while I was putting together my swatches to load that pen as an eyedropper in order to test one of the recent samples that I got from Jet Pens. And I'll link that Jet Pens order up in the cards. I think it comes up in this side if you're interested in seeing that haul. But basically, I've been slowly building a swatch book, and in order to swatch that, I stumbled upon this Noodler's pen and decided to load that up for sampling purposes. First of all, the pen stinks. I don't know why, but the pen, I don't know if it's the silicone grease on the threads that just went rancid, but I've seen on various forums that people talk about the smell of Noodler pens before, and I think it's something in the plastic that just smells foul. It worked fine for a few days. I do have some sample writing that I can share with you with that pen. It is, I enjoyed the flow. Y'all, I'm gonna melt this thing. I really enjoyed the flow. I enjoyed the color of this Colorverse ink. It's in the colorway Andromeda. But this is a sheening ink, and I don't get much sheen off of it, as you can tell from my samples. This is the Midori paper in the Traveler's Notebook. This is the plain insert that the planner came with, but I've also taped some Hobonichi paper over on the other side, and you can see there's just very little sheen. So I'm not quite sure why that's called a sheening ink. It's not one that I would purchase again. It is kind of a pleasant color, but just by way of comparison, this is actually the kind of sheening ink I would be interested in. And this is the Organic Studio Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I think the light is catching there. So anyway, I had that minor explosion after using the pen. This morning, after I started my little meal prep journal session, I capped the pen and realized there was just an awful lot of ink on the back side of the pen. And so then I opened it back up and realized that there was really a lot of loose, of just free-flowing ink in the cap. And I looked down at my desk, and no permanent disasters, but I had a couple good-sized dollops on my desk. I suppose it was a good learning experience, because now, especially with my eyedropper pens, I know to be careful and check for things like that. Anyway, let's talk briefly about the setup that is working for me in my Hobonichi weeks. As I watch other favorite YouTube channels and peruse Instagram for layouts for my Hobonichi weeks, I've just had to come to the realization that somebody else's system is not going to work for me. And also, I'm probably not going to stick to one layout. And I think that's probably the beauty of Hobonichi, is that even though their spreads are divided by the weeks and have this sort of grid paper on one side, the 7 days of the week on the other. You have so much flexibility to set this planner up in a way that works for you, and then to make a decision to change it up. So this is not really going to be a flip through, but I think I just wanted to share a couple things that I've tried that have not worked for me. In the beginning of the year, when I first got the planner, I was sort of setting it up for memory keeping, stickers and stamps, and what was going on in my life, reading, calls, Christmas, schedule stuff, what we were watching in terms of movies, what I was reading in terms of books, trips that I took. This is indicating that it's Scentsy Bring Back My Bar week, so home fragrances, basically not much of a system at all. Because it was always my daily carry, I started to use other systems that I thought would work for me. I purchased this template off an Etsy seller. This is just laminated cardstock. If you're interested in trying your own templates, I feel like this is something you could put together yourself. Not super durable. And again, it may work for me for some weeks, but it's just not going to work for me every week. There will be weeks, and if you're in the planner community, I'm sure you encounter the same thing. But this week I was too busy to even put anything down on paper in this planner. Here's a spread where I've set up a template using one of those stencils, and it's just not appropriate for the way I track my week or the way I track my tasks, so I just never ended up using it. Slowly, through sort of experimenting with spreads that I found on Instagram or on YouTube, I really have settled into this spread that works for me. And that is basically to divide my weekly spread into thirds, with the weekly section really running my schedule. So anything that is on the schedule, besides being on my Google Calendar, where I get alerts on my iPhone, I just need that list. I need that list in front of me where I can sort of reflect on this first thing, transfer what I need to into my work planner, and sort of run my schedule that way. In the center column, I use this for notes. So this is just sometimes what I'm reading, sometimes what I finished reading, sometimes exercise that I did. It might be Happy Mail that I received. My favorite sunscreen, for instance, is this Elta MD, and I just sort of received a refill of that. Notes to myself to return books to the library, that kind of thing. You'll see notes are at the top. Notes is written at the top of that column, and schedule is written at the top of that column. I guess I should come down here so I can really zoom in. And the last third of that weekly spread is what works best for me is if I just have a running task list where I tick things off almost like bullet journal style in the left-hand column. These signifiers are right from my kind of bullet journal experiences. So I tick it off with one horizontal line if I've started the task. I cross it off once that task is completed, and if I need to migrate a task forward, I use that little forward symbol. So in a nutshell, and then I have various habits that I'm tracking down in this lower third of that right-hand third. And that is what works for me. So let's set up next week, and yeah. There are a couple things I want to play with, so I thought I would bring you along for the ride. Okay, so today I thought I would just set up my planner and walk through that simple process. I think I will try this little bamboo quill pen, which was already in my stash. You can purchase this kind of thing from different art supply stores, and typically they come in sets of 3, small, medium, large. And I just thought I would use this kind of broad nib size with one of my Robert Oster inks to set up this week. Just a quick overview. This week is graduation week. I teach high school English, and it's kind of a screwy schedule because we're wrapping up final exams and graduating our roughly 400 seniors this Friday. First thing I'm going to do is lay down my Tombow marker in the headers where I know I'm going to need them. Now the Hobonichi week does have, I'm sorry, a little dot here, a little dot here, for you to divide this section in half. The dates are here. I'm going to run through Friday just with that highlighter because those are my work days. Going to give myself a line here for my running to do, and then my tracker usually starts right above the line that separates the weekend from the 5 weekdays. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use my Copic multiliner SP in nib size 0.3 to add my subheaders. I love how black this ink is. I will remind myself of what my habits are here. Planks. Basically, I do a 1-minute plank every morning. Other exercise. I'm doing intermittent fasting on like a 16/8 schedule. So I put down fasting and then time fasted. What else am I trying to do? Vitamins, because I never remembered to take my vitamins. And reading. Now up above, I will put just the days of the week, 1 per grid, but I'm going to use a more delicate, precise pen to do that. And I think today that will be my Pilot Vanishing Point, which is just loaded up with a waterproof Noodler's Heart of Darkness. So I just start over on the far right, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. I find that with that extra fine tip on my Pilot Vanishing Point, I can really get in there and be precise. And then I'm going to give myself some vertical bars just to help me track across with my habits. So I'll run this down Monday, Wednesday, alternating lines, Friday, and Sunday. Okay, so I guess I do have a little decision to make which one of my Robert Oster inks I'm going to use to basically set up these darker sections for scheduling and notes. And usually within the notes section, I put things like what I'm currently reading, but also other things. If I'm getting any happy mail, if I've spent any money on stationery supplies, I like to log that there. Running tasks are just things like meal prep, research, nib tuning, anything I want to sort of look up on the internet. Research cleaning fountain pens after using sheening inks, that was on my list. I can cross some of these things out because I have done these. I also run through the to-do list from the prior week to make sure that I have completed everything and don't have anything that I need to move forward, like that tuna salad. Okay, so I will, before I start, I will add, this is, what is this pen? Uniball Signo DX in 0.038. I love this pen. It's just a gel ballpoint, and It really, I feel like, takes advantage of the Tomoe River paper in these planners. When you use it, it's almost like a braille effect. It just becomes, it makes your planner become a very tactile thing because it presses into the paper. If you don't like that kind of thing, I would recommend something more along the lines of a multi-liner tip or a felt tip or a fountain pen, which will not dig in. But sometimes that's something that I like. Okay, as you can see, I already have a few reminders here, just scheduling things that I know are on the schedule. Early release for students on the 8th. It's also final exam makeup day. Okay, I feel like it's time to ink the grid. So let's see. I think we'll do Thunderstorm because it's the spring and this is a sheening ink, so I'm going to just flip it a couple times. I am so in love with these Robert Oster inks. I've tried 3 of them and I have 2 others in samples over there in these little vials to break out in the next week or so. Who knows, I may have time to shoot my fountain pen sample video today. We'll have to see. The light's kind of fading quickly because it is thunderstorm season. I don't want to make a mess, which may happen anyway. All right, so I'm going to do this. Oh, it's so lush. I can tell I'm going to really enjoy this. And I just have a paper towel where I'm going to make sure that did not transfer to my ruler. Now, of course, a bamboo nib will stain. I picked up more ink on that run, which transferred to the ruler. I think I will continue that freehanding it. And actually, I don't mind that mess because this ink is so very gorgeous. I will just show you, the first time I swatched it was in my A5. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. I think you can see this is the Thunderstorm, this dark ink here, and you can get an idea of how gorgeous it is on this Tomoe River paper. All right, it does take quite a bit of time to dry on this paper. So I'm just going to, oh, look how gorgeous that line is. And just to show you the magic of this paper, it has not bled through, even loaded as heavily as that was loaded. Okay, I will not get a super straight line, so please forgive that, but I'm just going to redo what I did up here. Just to there. Remember my disclaimer at the beginning of this video, I am a messy planner, but that is me. And I just am at the state in my life where I want to enjoy the supplies that I have. So I do not mind figuring out things like this pen with these inks. Just sharing some of the process with you. So if you love it or you hate it, this can inform your decisions. Okay, and I think here I'm only going to really reinforce that line between the work week and the weekend. I'll possibly clean this up just a bit. So let's see how much I can clean up off of this bamboo pen. I will rinse it in clear water, and kind of a cool tool. Gives me just more variety. Okay, so that is my super sloppy setup for next week, June 6th through the 12th. The inspiration looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit better than what we were looking at there, thanks to my experimentation, but I like it. I love these inks, and I'm enjoying experimenting with them. Here's another glimpse of how I'm enjoying using some of those inks in my morning pages. There's a big old swatch, and this is the Cafe Notebook, also Tomo River paper. And I'm just really having a great time experimenting with my fountain pens and my fountain pen inks. Okay, so I guess it's time to sign out. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested, my next couple videos, I'm not sure which one we'll post first, one will be my current fountain pen inks, all swatched in my little Midori Passport Traveler, and there's a little preview for that. Just takes a long time for these swatches to dry, so I'm doing a few every day, and I'll probably set this up as a flip through with a few additional marks made with my glass dip pen. And then, as I've already mentioned, my sort of reflection and reset of my planners for the second half of 2022, which have gone through some changes. This isn't even all of it. If you have any favorite spreads for Hobonichi weeks, leave me a comment down in the comments below. I would love to see what you work with, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao.